Hi, welcome to the Robot Program. I'm Professor E.
And I'm DJ Schurz. In today's episode, we're going to give you an overview of Easy Builder, the software that controls Easy Robots. Let's go to the studio and take a look.
We're going to introduce the software that can be used to control all of the Easy Robots.
The software that Easy Robots use is called Easy Builder, and it runs on your Windows PC. To download it, you can get it from the website at www.easy-robot.com and click on the software button and choose Download Easy Builder. We already have it installed, so we're going to skip right to it. When the software first loads, it'll ask you if you want to go to the Easy Robot School. In other episodes where you learned how to put the robot together, you may have already used this feature. For this demo, we're going to skip, and we're going to give you a tour of how Easy Builder works, all the functions, and some of the different screens so you can get an idea of where you're going to go when you start using the software. So let's start by controlling one of our robots with Easy Builder. Why don't we start there? Should we use JD?
Sure.
Awesome. Okay, so we'll turn JD on. And we're going to load JD's project. We can do so by either using our project history or we can load example projects. Let's click on that. And you see all the robots for Revolution are here. We'll choose JD. And if we wanted to, we can see how to put the robot together through assembly instructions. You already would have learned this through one of the other episodes, but since we're covering all of Easy Builder, we'll give you a quick view of this. So what you're seeing here are the instructions to build the robot. I can look at the instructions in 3D to make sure I'm doing it right, as well as it demonstrates every part on where to connect the wire to the controller itself. Now, the list of all the parts you're using are on the right here. I can click on any of these parts, for example, JD's head, the information button, and I can see information about that part. I can scroll down and I can look at each part, and I can 3D print the plastics right from the software as well, if you have a 3D printer.
So we can modify our robots to look however we want.
That's right. So I'm keep building my robot, and eventually you see a complete robot. So we can zoom around and look at it from different directions. And now that we've done that, let's close this assembly build down.
Okay, we have a completely built robot. So what's our first step?
Our first step is we're going to load a servo profile. Now, certain robots use servo profiles. For example, JD uses a servo profile. However, AdventureBot would not. Six does not, and Rolly does not. So the only robot that uses a servo profile is this guy.
Perfect.
So we'll load our profile, and let's connect to the robot through Wi-Fi. And then this control here on the Easy Builder screen will allow you to connect directly to the robot.
So there's his getting ready pose.
That's right. Each robot will have initialization pose when you connect to it. So this software looks like it may look busy. There's lots of things going on.
Lots of different screens.
Lots of different screens. So each one of these windows are behaviors for your robot. As you can see, this is a microphone control where it's recording my voice.
He's listening to everything you say.
That's right. If I were to click on the record button and then start talking, it comes out of the robot. I have another control here called the soundboard where I can load MP3s into it, and then I can edit the MP3 and I can add code that will run as the MP3 is being played. So let's take a quick look at that. You can see here that the bar for the MP3 is playing, and it's triggering different pieces of code as it gets to it. So we'll stop this from playing and close this window down. Now you also see here that we have the camera view, and you're looking right at our cameraman. There he is. Say hi, Andreas. We have another control here, which is an RGB animator. That's what makes his eyes move around, and you can animate his eyes. We have another control here which shows you what the robot looks like. And we have some code here. We have initialization script another script here called point and track. All the controls have a little gear icon, and if you push that gear icon, it's going to bring you to the code for that, or the configuration at least, for that control. You can see here in the initialization script, there's a bunch of code that initializes the robot when it connects. Now let's take a look at the camera control. The camera control has a bunch of different options for controlling brightness, as well as tracking different objects, such as color, faces, etc. And then we also have another control here called the auto position. The auto position is a movement panel. It's a type of panel inside of Easy Builder which controls how the robot walks or how the robot moves. There's different types of movement panels. We have a great tutorial on the website about movement panels. And of course, you can only have one movement panel per robot because there's only one way for a robot to move. And that's a great feature because anywhere in the software where you say robot move forward, in code or using RoboScratch or Blockly, the robot now knows how to move forward because it has a movement panel added to the project.
So your movement panel is kind of like your default blueprint for what he's going to do.
Exactly. So for a good example is if you were using AdventureBot, his movement panel would be continuous rotation servos because he moves using 2 wheels connected to continuous rotation servos. So it would be a different movement panel than the auto position you see here. And JD, because he walks and he has many servos and he uses what's called a gate, then he actually uses the auto position control. And then Rolly, who uses an H-bridge, and that's because he has motors, and an H-bridge controls the speed and direction of motors, then it would use a different movement panel called an H-bridge movement panel. And you'll see that in this project as well. So movement panels are a fantastic way to register movements into the Easy Builder software. So anywhere you mention how to move, the software will know how to make that robot move. If we were to click on the gear of the auto position, you'll see here we have all these different frames for this particular robot. For example, if we scroll down, we'll see that there's walking, there we go, walk 1, walk 2, walk 3. These are all different frames to make the robot actually move into different positions. And if I click on the actions button and I locate forward, you'll notice over here, each walk is added into the list for forward. And the same applies to reverse, etc. So we'll close this down. And now that you have a good idea of the controls that are added to a project for a default robot, let's take a look at how you would start programming a robot.
All right, so this is for us to make our own programs, our own custom movement, and our own custom actions, right?
That's right. Now, there's multiple ways to start programming a robot. We're going to start with the most basic, which is a great way to learn how to start programming. If you locate your mouse cursor up on the top, you'll see there's workspaces. I'm going to choose RoboScratch. Under RoboScratch, this is a method to learn how to program without having to be worried about understanding if conditions or loops or variables or any of the complicated things. What we're teaching with RoboScratch is the linear execution of commands.
So we've got a linear procedure. We're going from start to finish without taking any branches or logic. We just want to see start to finish.
Right, none of the confusing stuff. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to demonstrate, and this is not a programming lesson, we're going to demonstrate RoboScratch only. I'm going to choose here forward. And as you see, it's added a forward block. And I can choose down. I get to make the robot move forward for, how's this 2 seconds sound? Okay. And now I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to add an action, and you see some actions say wait and some actions don't. Action that doesn't say wait means it'll execute the action, so tell the action to start running, and the action may be a wave. But it'll continue on to the next command, and it won't wait for that one action to complete.
So if you want to see your whole action, you need your program to pause and wait.
That's right. So we can quickly just add an action here and choose bow or wave. Let's choose wave. All these robots will have a wave, and as you can see here, it adds amount of time to wait for. Well, we don't know how long the action is going to take to wait for, so this is not a good version of the action command to use. So let's right-click on it and remove that particular action. Let's add action wait. Now we're going to scroll down in our list, and we're going to add wave, and we'll click start to run that. You ready?
I'm ready.
So the robot walked forward for 2 seconds, and then as you saw, it waited. And you saw also the yellow highlight on each box as it was running.
I was just going to point that out. So as we're executing our program, we can see the yellow highlighting showing us exactly what the robot is doing as it's going through our program. So if something's not working the way you expect it to within your RoboScratch, you're going to watch where that highlighting is and see what your robot's doing.
You got it. Also, we can modify and change the execution of each of these. So we're going to move this one down, and let's add something else in there. Let's add a command that's going to have the robot speak. As you see when I added it added it to the bottom. Okay? Now, it's not a wait say. A wait say is right here. This say means that it'll execute the say command and it'll move on to the next command. So we're going to want to move this one up. As you can see, the lines that connecting to them will click in as I come close to it. And now we're going to type in the command we want the robot to say.
So now we've just switched the order that you're going to execute those instructions in just by moving it above. So this is, you watch that green line, and that's going to show you exactly what's happening as you move down.
That's right. So I typed in my command, and as you can see there's blue question marks all over the software. And you can put your cursor over them to see what that command is. So we've added the robot to speak and say, hello, I'm an easy robot, and it'll continue to the next command, which is going to be a wave. So I'm going to click start to run this.
Hello, I am an easy robot.
That's excellent.
Looks good.
Now, if we wanted to view the code that was generated using RoboScratch, we can click on the source code button, and there's the code for our little script.
Now, for those who are more experienced programmers, can you tell us what type of code this is?
This code is called Easy Script, and we'll get into that in future episodes.
Perfect.
So now that you've learned RoboScratch and the idea of linear execution of commands, let's move on to something a little bit more complicated, a little more advanced, which is Blockly.
Okay.
So Blockly is a lot of fun. It was developed by Google originally, and it also comes on many different synonyms, such as Scratch it's referred to as, and there's other ones too, but I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, Blockly is its most common name. So what we're going to do with Blockly is we have the ability to add logic, such as if conditions, loops, we can link audio, we can use the camera control. There's a lot of functionality in here. So let's put together something pretty quick. Let's just take a loop, and we'll add a loop, and we'll make the loop 5 times. And now we'll add, under movement, let's add an action, and let's have the robot bow. Actually, let's have the robot wave. I'm making this up as I go along.
We don't know what's going to happen.
That's right. This is always a lot of fun. Now we're going to click on audio and have the robot speak. And now I chose Say Easy B. What that means is speak out of the Easy B controller, which means the sound will come out of the robot. If I chose another say, if I load this up here, you'll see Say PC. That means come out of the computer speaker. So we can choose where the audio comes out of. Now we want to add text for the say. We're going to add a hello world. And instead we're going to say, welcome to the robot program. And now under our loop, let's have the robot speak and count to 5. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay, so what we'll do here is we're going to add audio, and we're going to have the robot speak and say easy B wait, which means it'll wait until it's completed. And now what we're going to do is we're going to need a variable. So we can start with a variable here. And we can create a variable. So our variable will be called count. And we'll choose count from the list. And we want to assign the value of count to be a value of 0, because that's what we're going to start with. Actually, we're going to start with 1. I'll show you why, because this is where logic comes into play. Now we're going to need to increment count every time this loop runs. So let's load up our variable here. We'll set this in, and then we'll say we want to add count. And we'll do some math. There it is. And we'll add another math for a value of 1. Now we want to put our variable here. And we'll choose count. And we want to obviously change count. So what we said is set the value of count to count plus 1. And now we want the robot to be able to speak and say the number that it is currently at. So we'll choose our variable, throw it in here, choose count. And when it's done counting, let's have the robot auto position wait and do a bow. So let's run our program and see what happens.
Welcome to the robot program. 1, 2, 3, 4,
And
5.
Nice work, JD.
that's excellent. Good work, buddy. So we can also look at the code that's generated for Blockly by clicking on the code button, as you see here. And now let's revisit the main screen where we have all the things that are happening. So this is obviously quite cluttered. There's a lot of stuff there. There's not a lot of extra space. So we can also move to another workspace here where we can view and add more controls. This is called a virtual desktop. What you see here right now is actually a mobile interface. So what is inside of here are the contents that would be displayed on your mobile app. You can create your own mobile app by clicking on the gear, and you can move buttons around, as well as you can add new buttons and new controls from the list. So I can move his camera. I can set the robot to start doing a dance. Or I can just have the robot start walking. And your mobile app will load on either iOS or Android devices. That includes tablets and iPads. If we wanted to add more controls to EasyBuilder, you can click on Project, click Add, and you'll be presented with a menu of tons of different controls. Everything from, let's look under here, audio, we have speech recognition, we can have different camera controls, we can even go all the way to miscellaneous, and you'll see here's a Twitter recognition. So you can give your robot a Twitter account. You have the ability to also add joysticks, and this is fun, this is plugins. Now we currently don't have any plugins, but plugins are created by third-party developers to add extra functionality to the EasyBuilder software. I can click on Get Plugins, and it'll bring you right to the plugin page on our website. Here you can browse different plugins that are available, such as the Microsoft recognition using cognitive services and artificial intelligence. You get to play with some really cool stuff with the plugins. Installing a plugin is simple as selecting the plugin, choosing Install, the file will download, click on the file, the installer will run, close down your web browser, re-click into Add Controls, and there it is in your plugins. There's other controls you can add too, as well as scripting, servos, including other third-party robots, such as the AR Parrot drone or the Roomba vacuum cleaner, even your Sphero.
Great, so we've got lots of options and lots of different things that you can optimize or customize.
That's right. So as you move forward, now that you've done RoboScratch and Blockly, now you want to get into writing some nitty-gritty, easy script and make the robots do some pretty cool stuff. Under the scripting section, you have the ability to add different types of scripting controls. So here we can click on Easy Script, and when we click on the gear to edit it, you're first presented with a window that lets you know that Blockly is set up as your current scripting editor. And that's what we want. So we're going to click Close and say, do not show this to me again. Now I have the ability to program code using the Blockly editor. When I want to switch over to Easy Script again, I can click on the Easy Script option, and then when I go to type in this window, it'll ask me if I want to switch to Easy Script mode, in which case I can say yes. Now I can start typing and writing different code. And as you'll see here, all of the options are available for the command you're typing in. It's called IntelliSense.
And IntelliSense is a great way to learn more about a programming language if you're not quite sure about all of the syntax available.
All the syntax that is available you'll find on the right side, located inside of the Easy Script help. And one of the really powerful features about Easy Script, because there's so many controls and different behaviors of your robot, you want to be able to activate or access those controls from one Easy Script. So you can do so from two different methods. One, you can right-click in your Easy Script, and it'll bring down a menu where you can choose all of the different controls and the different control command options that they have. For example, we can have the camera control enable face tracking inside of our script, as simple as that. Or we can click on the cheat sheet, which will bring up all the different controls and their different control commands as well. We can resize this to make it a little bit bigger so we can fit more in. And as you'll see here, we have the RGB animator, we can have the robot perform a disco. And I click on it and adds it to the code.
Perfect. You don't even have to type.
That's right. Now, when I go back to Blockly, you notice everything is gone. That's because once you edit something in EasyScript, you can't bring it back to Blockly. So we'll save this, and there's our new script that we had just created. Lastly, if we're going to revisit the beginning of the video where I showed you how the robots are assembled and put together, you wonder how that was generated. Well, inside of Easy Builder, under Project, you have the ability to go into what's called Design Mode. In Design Mode, you can edit the robot and change its physical appearance using Easy Bits. In this case, we have a JD humanoid head added to this robot. We can remove this head. Oh, he's gone.
His head's gone.
His head's gone. And now we can go into our library and we can scroll through and find something else to replace with his head. So let's go through and load up under heads. We only have one head. Well, we also have the ability to go into the library manager and synchronize and get more easy bits from the internet. Now that all the files have synchronized, we can close this down and you'll notice that our heads have been updated. Oh, we have a BB-8 head, we have a female humanoid head, we even have a scary Jason the Friday the 13th mask.
I don't like that one.
So let's choose the female humanoid head. Now that it's been added to our project, we can scroll and click on where its location is going to be. We can zoom out to fit the whole robot, and we can also move our camera view to get it in place. Now you'll notice on the right, it asks, where is the servo ports connected to on the controller? Well, we know that the horizontal servo is going to be plugged into, according to our instructions here, D0. So we'll choose D0. And the vertical servo, which it says it's plugged into D1. So we'll choose D1. And the RGB eyes and the camera, well, we know where those are plugged into, so we won't have to worry about that. So we can now click Save. It asks, would you like to take a new image of what the robot looks like? I think it's a good idea.
Sure.
So we'll say yes. Now visiting the first desktop again, you'll see that our picture of the robot has changed. And in fact, if I visit instructions, and I start following through the instructions to build a robot, the last thing that we added, you're going to guess what it is?
I think I can guess.
That's right. Here it comes. And there's our female head. And as you see, it tells us where the ports need to be connected to, so someone else who's building your robot can now know how to connect those as well. If you want to change the order, you can click on Reorder, and you can select the item, and you can move it up to the top, underneath the chest, and save the changes. And now when you follow through your instructions again, you put the robot head as the second step. So let's close this down. Lastly, you're going to want to know how to save and share the robots that you built. Well, we have the Easy Cloud App Store. In here, we can open and look at apps that other people have made, or we can save our app to the cloud by clicking the Save button. I can give it a name, My First JD Robot. I could choose tags that it belongs to. I could specify the first control that's going to be loaded. Now, if you're confused what these options mean, again, put your cursor over the blue question boxes and you'll get more information. Lastly, you can check, is it public? If you choose yes, then other people will be able to see it. If you choose no, it'll be just for your safekeeping.
So if you want to share it with us, go ahead and make it public.
That's right. Now, if I click the Save button, it's going to ask, are you sure you want to save it because it's public? I'm going to say yes. And now it loads up this changelog details. We keep track in the App Store of every revision that you save so that you can revisit a revision if you've ever made a change that you're not happy with. So you're going to want to give it a description. Because this is a first time saving to the App Store, I'm going to call it My First Robot Save. And I'll click Save, and off it goes. If you'd like to revisit a saved revision, you can do so by clicking Open, locating the app in your list, in this case we'll use JD, and selecting Version History. And you'll see here all of the revisions that have ever been saved for JD are there, and I can click the Load button and reload that revision into my project. So as you can see, Easy Builder is a very powerful software program for controlling robots. You can control your next thermostat, you could teach your robot to understand object training and vision recognition. You can even add speech recognition and artificial intelligence to the robot power.
Pretty cool.
It's very cool.
In this episode, we introduced you to the Easy Builder software. There's so many different things that you can do. If you're less familiar with programming, you can start with RoboScratch. Once you've gotten used to the linear programming format, you can move on to Blockly, which allows you to do logic and other interaction with the code. You can also use EasyScript to write your own code. If you're looking for something a little more advanced, try the plugins or other programs that members of the community have written and published. If you're ever not sure about something and how it works, you can hover over the blue question mark and you'll see more information. You can also click on the question marks that are located next to the X at the top of the control window to find the associated content in the manual. Thank you for watching this episode, and we'll see you next time. Which workspace is designed for linear programming? Which workspace is designed for programming with logic, branches, and loops? What is the Easy Robot scripting language called? Find the answers at therobotprogram.com.